Okay, so this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions, Dark Side of the Ring review series. I'm your host, Mike.
And I'm Frank, and let's get right to it, man. This one was definitely the not the weirdest one I've seen so far, but it definitely was the scariest
It
as
was a
far
horror.
as the wrestlers go.
I was watching this and I felt like I was watching a horror movie.
Yeah, but
Probably
but
because of
just
the
everything they
music,
were
the way it
going
was.
through.
Well, not only that, what they were going through, the way it was shot, the visuals, and then the music. It felt like an 80, like an 80s horror movie, and you're just waiting for somebody to jump out or somebody to get killed or no.
Well, we almost got both. We definitely got the jumping out from out of nowhere, but we almost got the definitely almost got the almost
Yeah,
killed
yeah,
from wrestlers and well as the North
yeah.
Koreans. So, I mean, now we all know WCW had the cross promotion with New Japan in the early '90s, where they would go there, the New Japan wrestlers would come here. So I forget whose brilliant idea was it to decide to bring this to North Korea. Was it Eric Bischoff or was I mean
I think it
that's the
was.
only part I missed.
I think it was Bischoff.
Man, that guy needs to be smacked.
Well,
Uh,
it worked.
for one match,
Well, not
I
for
mean,
one
the
match.
fans never even cared.
Yeah, but he didn't know that. He didn't know.
Well,
He didn't know any.
I,
He didn't
I
know anything about that.
I understand. Well, actually, I think it was Bischoff and Inoki because I think they both pitched the idea to
Yeah,
each other.
yeah.
Because
Hmm.
remember, Antonio Inoki was the ambassador from Japan to
Right.
Korea, and Koreans hated Japanese, and that whole history. We're not getting into that. Um, they and what's funny about Antonio Inoki is he is they called him the Hulk Hogan times two in Japan, so he was the most popular person.
Hmm.
And who better than to be the ambassador for this event than Antonio
Yeah.
Inoki to go over there and be the I guess the goodwill pretty much is what he tried to establish. Um, Korea, when they were doing this, they wanted big names for the event. So in 1995, WCW's roster, who was the biggest guy they had on there? Bischoff pitched the idea first to Hulk Hogan. Hogan says, "Nah, it's not for me, brother." Well, I guess the rest of the guys should have jumped on that bandwagon. He went to Plan B, which I thought was a kind of an insult to the guy, and that was Ric Flair. If anything, that should have been your Plan A. But
Yeah.
considering Hogan's the champion,
Hogan's the big. I mean, Hogan, biggest name in the sport of all time.
he's the
So,
biggest politician of all time.
well, yeah, that too. But still, I understood what it. Hogan had the name. So
Yeah.
even more so than Flair.
So besides Ric Flair, they brought Scott Norton, Too Cold Scorpio, who is I thought was actually out of the company at this point. I thought he was working for ECW, but I guess they came to an agreement for him to go. The Steiner Brothers, Road Warrior Hawk, and Chris Benoit all made the trip over there. And they were actually surprised when they found out that Muhammad Ali was joining them,
Hmm.
which I thought was awesome. I mean, if you're in the
Yeah,
presence
that
of
was.
Muhammad Ali, I mean, that's the trip right there for me. So yeah, and the best part is, and I was laughing about this last night, that Ted Turner, who's the owner of WCW, but has no idea what's going on in the day-to-day business, had no idea that these guys were going over there. So I mean, I thought that was classic, but that's just typical Ted. You know, like you had said before, Bischoff only went to him if he needed something, so he
Yeah,
made him
yeah,
use
yeah.
checkbook.
He wasn't that. Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't directly involved.
No, but it would have been at least good to know to let the owner know, hey, by the way, we're going over there. If shit happens, you know, this is where we're at. But in any event, um, they even it's funny because when they showed this, that and I thought the same thing. They knew something was wrong when they get on a military transport from Japan
Japan, yeah.
to Korea. They're on a 40-year-old military transport plane, and as the Two Cold Scorpio has said, as they're going over, they see the scenery of South Korea, and then all of a sudden, as they're getting to the border or the DMZ, I guess it's called, is they saw the tanks and everything and the missiles pointed at North Korea, and then when they get over the border, fly over it, then they see the same thing
Yeah.
from North Korea to South Korea, and we all know their history. When they got there, remember the military had taken any possessions American based. They took their Walkmans, they took their passports, which to me is at this point I would be worried because now you just took my one thing that could get me out of here.
Right. Yeah.
And
Exactly. And
I'd be wondering, am I leaving here? Is this it? Is this it for us?
right. Yeah. This might be the end.
So, and it was funny because they did an interview, and you remember they told Bischoff that he was the seventh American to be there that wasn't shot down or captured.
Right. Yeah.
Again,
History.
Something to worry about here, maybe. But I mean, North Korea has always been a country that has been they've brainwashed their people by telling them that America is the ones to hate. Because not to jump too far into the episode, but if you remember, Bischoff said he went for a run without his attaché, and everybody was just running away from him. And when he asked why, they said, well, they were led to believe that y'all are evil, that that hate America, and he just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
In any event, they were actually. You remember when they got there, they had to go, and I don't remember the leader's name, and I don't really care. They were filmed having to go put flowers at the memorial.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was funny that they were filming it because I guess they were trying to show the U.S. we can get you to do anything, or I don't know the reasoning behind it.
It was just to show like, oh yeah, look at all these people. They had all this respect for this leader that they knew absolutely nothing about. It was just propaganda.
Yeah, because this wasn't the first time they had to do it on the trip. There was another time they had to go, in which Ali said, I'm training. I don't care what you're doing. And so now they get to the hotel, and I remember Scorpio saying there was only 3 channels they can watch, all military news, and everything they want you to hear. There was a pool table in the lobby, and it was funny. They were like, you know what, pass the time. Why don't we just go play pool? And I remember them saying it took them 2 hours to get the military to okay it from the front desk to get the balls. As soon as they break, the cue ball hits the floor, the military just goes nuts, breaking everything. I guess they felt insulted or something or whatever. Scott Norton had said that, what they think we did, disrespect the marble floor, or what is this? And this is where he really started getting concerned, because he's like, okay, they hate us. Why are we here doing this? And quite frankly, I got to agree.
Yeah, no.
I hope there was a huge pay bump for these guys, because I mean, what they went through was just ridiculous. In any event, they always had constant military presence wherever they went. They had attachés assigned to them wherever they went. There was nothing that they could do that was on their own. Everything of theirs was monitored, phone calls, whatnot. I mean, this was just pretty much ridiculous. So now, as they go further into the video, they start talking about, I don't know if they were assigned people to drive with them, or it was just, the guys grouped with themselves. But Scorpio and Hawk, you remember, got on the bus, and Flair was looking around, and I guess Hawk was like, oh, I normally ride with him. Does he want me to ride with him? Does he want to take the bus? And Scorpio yells out, F him. Let him drive by himself or get on the damn bus. And I remember Scorpio always had heat with Flair, because I think, and I haven't gone back and done the information on this, and where Scorpio claims the Flair got him fired,
right?
Or whatever it was between the two of them. This wasn't the place to be discussing this in any event. And now the two of them get at it on the bus, and the N word gets thrown out, and I got disgusted because everybody knows my stance on that. I despise using the word. And so now they're fighting, they're going at it, and this didn't end here, because if you remember going through the episode, now Scorpio's looking to seriously kill him. The whole chopsticks,
shank, the chopsticks,
shaving it into a shiv, and I'm like, what? And Benoit's looking at him like, what are you doing? You want to be here for the rest of your life, killing the guy? But we'll get into the last encounter with them in a minute. But I mean, that whole thing was just idiotic. And so And what's funny is Scorpio had talked about, oh, one punch and he went down, and they said something later that Hawk was suffering from, what was it, some sort of hepatitis?
Hepatitis C, I think he said.
Yeah, which would make him extremely weak,
Yeah.
which is why in the event, because I think Scott Norton has said, dude, you got lucky because if he was in full health, you'd be the one on the floor.
Yeah.
But again,
I don't know.
that was just ridiculous. So then from there, they talked about Scott Norton. It took him 3 days to get in contact with his wife. His wife is, yelling at him on the phone. What is going on? He said, babe, it took me this long to get in touch with you. This place is insane. As he's going through the conversation, all of a sudden it's click on the phone. Just the automatic hang up. He thought that she hung up on him being mad. She thought the other way. All of a sudden, here comes the military personnel banging through his door, taking him to, I guess, what was an interrogation room. And the guy tells him, speak bad about us. Talk no bad about North Korea. And he's like, oh, now y'all are listening on my conversations. Now this is totally getting me like, whoa, what is going on here? And so I don't know. I don't remember if they had a gun pointed to his head or if he thought that was going to be it for him.
No, they shouldn't. When they did the reenactment, they showed them pointing the gun, but Norton at no point says that a gun was pointed to his head.
So there was over dramatic on the replay, the role play there. But when he found that out, now he's just like, all right, we need to get the hell out of here. Let's just do this event and go. And by this point, I'm thinking the same thing.
I think Inoki's people got him out of there.
Yeah, he did. Like I said, if it wasn't for Antonio Inoki, I don't think these guys were coming home. I really don't. So now they were brought to another propaganda site where they were recorded, and this is where I like it, because then at one point Ali goes and runs up the stairs, starts shadow boxing and training and whatnot. And I thought they were going to get in trouble for this, but they didn't. So it was just they had to go to another site that was recorded, and they just went along with it because what else are you going to do, to be honest? So now they have the ceremonial dinner, I guess it was called, where, again, this is where Scorpio is dropping his chopsticks, hiding them, grabbing another pair because he wants to continue this brawl with Hawk. And again, Benoit was trying to talk him out of it, saying it's not worth it. So now we go to the actual event they talked about, and this is when they were in the car. They were heading to the place. I think it was like a 4-lane highway. 2 of the lanes had, they showed the people walking to the event, and they were like, oh wow, this is amazing, all these people coming out here to see us. And that's when the driver turned around and said, no, they're being forced or they get a bullet to the head.
Yep.
So this makes me laugh because Bischoff made the comment that said Vince would never get 170,000 people in there. Eat your heart out. He must have been livid. And I'm thinking, bro, these people were held at gunpoint to come see you. If this was a voluntary thing, I don't think you would have had a fraction of the people there, considering that there was silence throughout the entire event. They didn't know what they were watching. It only was until the main event that they start, enjoying it and actually making noise. But I mean, these people were pretty much threatened with their lives to go to this event, and that's insane.
Yeah, but Bischoff didn't know any of that. He found that out later on.
No, but he still makes the comment.
No, but he made the comment in the sense that he thought, wow, we're going to draw this many people. And then later on, he finds out they were forced against their will. That's why at the end of the episode, he said, yeah, technically we had the biggest crowd, but they were forced to be there. So Bischoff is not really saying anything wrong. He figured it out later on.
I think Vince said, I don't know if Vince would have done the same thing if the roles were reversed, towards Bischoff. But then again, this was Bischoff always throwing the cheap shots at McMahon, always had been.
No, but it was think about it. He thought he was going to have 170,000 people. He didn't know they were going to be held against their will. They never told him that. So going into it, of course, he's going to be like, wow, Vince can't even do anything close to that. It isn't until later on that he finds out that they were forced to be there, which he openly admits at the end of the episode.
Yeah, and again, it's just amazing that these people were pretty much, of course, they're not going to celebrate or anything. They're scared for their lives.
Yeah.
If we don't do what they've said, we're going to get killed. So it was funny because during the matches, everybody, like we said, nobody's saying nothing. Silence. Hawk actually was yelling at the crowd during the match, like, what's wrong with you people? And it wasn't until the Ric Flair Antonio Inoki fight that the fans started. It almost felt like Rocky Balboa in Rocky IV, almost, with the whole Drago in Russia and everything. It's like all of a sudden the fans started getting into it and cheering for them.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, come on. No, it felt almost like a little bit of it because
not really because Rocky got cheered, but Rocky was an American. They only cheered
they booed him at first.
They cheered him because he won them over. But Inoki got cheered only for the fact that his connection to a North Korean legend who trained him, who ended up getting killed.
And we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Oh,
so well, it's not exactly the same thing.
Well, Ric Flair was part of the match. So,
but if Ric Flair would have gotten cheered, then it would have made a little more sense.
I don't know if they cheered Inoki himself or Flair or the match itself.
No, it was Inoki. They were cheering Inoki. They say it how they
Ric Flair a little credit. Come on.
No,
I know what they said, but
he put him over.
He put him over. Yeah, he had to put him over.
Yeah.
All right, so it wasn't a Rocky thing. Leave me alone. What's next? You gonna bother me with Adam Bomb? In any event, speaking of his mentor, he was part North Korean, part Japanese, and it was always kept as a secret for years about the other half of his nationality. It wasn't until 1963 that the Yakuza found out and took him out, and this was sad to hear. But whacked. I mean, I didn't want to use the term, but whacked.
Yeah, so they find out about his the fact that he's North Korean, and then
North Korean and Japanese. So the Yakuza they take him out, which was sad. That was Inoki's mentor and whatnot. Yeah. And so to close out the episode, they had a ceremony. Again, they had another dinner, and I remember this is where Scorpio and Hawk at the elevator now met up, and Scorpio's like, "Are we going to finish this or what?" And I was laughing because all of a sudden Hawk looks at him and goes, "Hey man, I'm out of pills, I'm out of roids, I'm out of weed. I mean, we could do this now, we could squash it, or we could wait till I get back to Japan and I load up, and then we can do this." And I'm like, well, and I'm thinking back to when we did the Road Warriors episode, and I'm like, there's Hawk, openly telling, saying this stuff to him, and they pretty much at that point they squashed it, and then Scorpio was still going. I would have taken him out and whatnot.
And Scorpio said that he would have taken him out in Japan if he had to.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't know, man.
After you get a roided up Hawk, man, I don't know. Man, I got my money on him.
I don't know.
But in any event, this was something that was just not needed on top of what they were already going through. Through the whole event, they didn't even know if they were coming home.
Then they said that Flair, when they got to Japan, Flair kissed the ground.
Yep, $40,000. They said $10,000, whatever, how much the suit, the alligator shoes, and he's on the ground kissing the tarmac. And to be quite honest, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, especially after experience like that, man.
I mean, it's not U.S. soil, but I mean, it's close enough. We're sort of free here. We're not going to go through what we went through a few hours ago. And I mean, this whole experience was insane. And just, I guess if they could have done it, turn back the time, they would have never gone and did this. So, I mean, this was just a horror from the word go. I mean, they put on a hell of a spectacular. I had looked up the card for the 2 nights, whether or not the fans got what they got out of it. I mean, that's.
Yeah, Scorpio says that this is the only thing he had over Hogan, that he was able to wrestle in front of 180-something thousand 2 nights in a row. But he's joking when he says it,
Yeah, he was smiling when he said it, and Hogan's probably looking like, well, at least I didn't have a gun to my head, brother.
Yeah.
But I mean, they tried something new that's never been done since, probably will never be done again.
Probably not, no.
Not anymore, not after January. But yeah, this was definitely a dark side of the ring moment. But it ended well for these guys.
Yeah, everybody survived. They lived to tell the tale. They got to introduce those, the North Korean people to wrestling. I don't think they had ever seen wrestling.
No.
Certainly not live. No, I don't think they saw wrestling, period.
Only what the government wanted them to see.
So I'm sure even though they were forced there, some of them walked away from that event and they were like happy, like, oh, this is something cool that, we don't get to experience, this type of entertainment, so. I think everybody.
The downside to that, the whole event too, is Inoki was, he wasn't reelected as the ambassador. He was, and then he stayed out of politics for about 20 years. Yeah. That was a shame for him because he really liked doing it.
That's what he really wanted to do, but I don't know enough about him. But Yeah.
I remember his classic match, wrestler versus boxer, back in the '70s against Muhammad Ali. You know, he was always a guy that wanted to intermingle sports and bring countries together that hadn't experienced seeing this. That was always his passion, and this was another one, you know, like that. And unfortunately, this one didn't work out as well as they hoped. Unfortunately,
Well, I mean, I don't know if it did or it didn't. Really,
I say
because
that. I mean, you put on the show, yeah, but you were lucky to get out of there with your life. I mean, who
yeah, I
knows?
know, but the thing is, I think it was Norton that said that they should have given him a heads up. But I guess if they would have told him the truth, they would never would have went out there to begin with. They
Exactly. If they
kept him in
told all the
they
guys,
kept him
"Hey,
in the
this is
dark.
what you're going to go through," they'd
But
be like, "No."
The Japanese guys knew they were saying it in the locker room when Norton was there. They were like, "No, we don't want to go over there." So
Yeah,
they knew. But listen, everybody lives to tell the tale. So
that's the important thing.
and we got an episode. So I thought it was a pretty good episode. Interesting. I didn't know
It
too
was.
much about. I remember this event, but I haven't listened to any. I'm gonna go back now, and I'm actually gonna try to listen to some podcasts that Eric Bischoff does to get into more detail about
I
what
believe you
happened
can
at that
see the
event.
match between Inoki and Flair on YouTube. I have watched it years
Yeah, no,
ago.
I'm sure, but I want to know behind the scenes. I want to know
Yeah.
more
Oh,
from
definitely. Yeah.
from the people that were there. Besides this, because you can only tell so much in an hour, or 50 minutes,
Exactly.
whatever it is
Yeah.
with commercials. I thought it was a cool episode, a very interesting topic. So
Definitely.
Dark Side continues to impress.
Oh, yes. And then next week they're doing the Ultimate Warrior, which
Yeah.
I am most anxiously wanting to watch because we've done the Warrior episode and we know pretty much all about him. And this is going to be, I guarantee, stuff we never knew about, and this is going to shock us just the same.
Yeah, I'm curious because it's his ex-wife
Mhm.
telling the story, not his wife. And his ex-wife was there for his first run.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear her point of view.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching this one.
Interestingly enough, Biography has an Ultimate Warrior episode coming up too.
Yes, they do.
Which I'm sure Biography is going to be like the nicer,
yeah,
more cleaned up version.
They've been doing some pretty decent ones here lately.
I have them all recorded.
Randy Savage.
I have them all recorded. I heard the Randy Savage was like a hit piece. Like the second hour was like a hit piece. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm been meaning to watch it. So
yeah, I've seen, and then they did the Booker T one, which a lot of stuff came out after the fact. So yeah, that's another good series that they've been doing.
Yeah,
but like you said, Dark Side continues to impress, and kudos from me, man. My hat's off to you guys. You guys done a great job with it, and keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're gonna continue to review all Dark Side episodes. So you guys make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care, guys.